Still with me, baby. What's up? What's going on, everybody? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, my baby? How's everybody doing? Been long time no talk. Which y'all thought I was gone? 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 What's happening? What it do? What it is? What's happening? What up? What's happening? All you haters can get at me, and I still ya, and I'm watching. What it is, bruh? What it do, man? All right. So, what do we got here? How's everybody doing? What's going on? Long time no conversation. Shouts out to all the Powers of Sea Bandits. Hopefully, everybody enjoying their beginning of their summertime. The kids out of school almost. We got a couple of states that got kids still in school. Next week is the last week of school for a lot of kids, especially up north. So get ready for the summertime. Things about to start picking up. It's good to see everybody back. Got mini camp. Got mini camp. Ricky camp. All these things going on. We got training camp coming up in about 2 months, basically. I ain't gonna say 2 months, but training camp next month, basically. Training camp in July, the end of July. Pretty much July. The end of July. I'm gonna say it like that, or July, period. You got Military Day coming up for the Bucs, Military Day. Hopefully I can get down there. And for those of you that has not been to Military Day, if I got any military veterans, for those of you that live in Tampa that has access to the Military Day, those tickets are hard to get. Yeah, mini camp next week, right? Mini camp, right? So it's like a couple days, But those of you that has access to Bucs Military Day, which is always in the end of July, it's pretty cool to go. Those tickets are hard to get because they don't put them out to the public. They give them out to the military bases like MacDill Air Force Base. And then you have to know somebody on MacDill Air Force Base to get those tickets like I did last year. One of my friends that was in the military, he knew an E7, a chief in the Navy that had access to the link. I was able to get those tickets and I was able to attend the Military Day. I would love to attend that again. So if anybody has any information on the Bucs Military Day, please let me know the dates. They're usually the end of July, going into August. I would love to attend that again. It was fun watching the Bucs practice, and I do a live stream there. So get at me. What else? Also, it's preseason coming up. Everything's kind of quiet right now. Things are starting to kind of pick up in a pocket. The mini camp. The mini camp is here. I'll give you the dates for the mini camp right quick. Let me look at the dates real quick. Oopsie. Rookie minicamp already passed already, but that was last month. For those of you that don't know, so now we got minicamp for the team, and so minicamp starts. They don't even have the dates up. Okay. Forget y'all then. I think it's next week. Let me make sure. Hold on a second. I'm gonna get with y'all. Bucs mini camp dates. Oh yeah, June is next week. Next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Mandatory mini camp. So you had OTAs was the 21st to the 23rd of May. Then it was 28th to 30th, and then June 3rd to June 6th. That was OTAs, team activities. You know, you're lifting, they're getting familiar with Liam Cohen, stuff like that, playbook, stuff like that. And then you got the mandatory mini camp, June 11th through 13th. So this is like, they call it phase 1. I don't call it phase 1. I call it phase 3, because phase 1 was free agency for me. Phase 2 was the draft, and then phase 3, we're going into the mini camp, OTAs, rookie mini camp, OTAs, mini camp, and then training camp. And then phase 4 is preseason. So that's how I look at it. So I don't know how you guys look at it, but I look at it like that. So yeah. So the updates. I know everybody was talking about this. The most recent update, the Bucs did sign Sterling Shepard. He did play with Baker Mayfield in Oklahoma. Sterling Shepard, I think he's 30, 31 years old. So a lot of injuries the last couple of years, or he's been injured the last couple of years, not able to stay healthy. This is not a big signing, and I want to make sure everybody understands this. Like, keep your expectations for Sterling Shepard low. Please, I repeat, Bucs fans, please do not hype this signing up. Please do not hype this up, because it's not like that. This is a cheaper version of Russell Gage. Okay? At least we're not paying Sterling Shepard a ton of money. Okay? Please understand, the Sterling Shepard signing is not a big deal. It's a depth signing. He can probably still make the roster, because we got young guys. And come on, you can't get rid of Trey Palmer and J Mac. Trey Palmer and J Mac. And you got Raheem Jarrett. So I don't know if he might be a camp body, but do not look into this like it's a big deal. Because you know how this is. Some Bucs fans get super hyped and they'll be like, oh my gosh, we got Sterling Shepard. It don't work like that. I would say it's more like, it's like a cheaper version of Russell Gage, but with less productivity. He'll be lucky to make the roster. He gonna jump in front of Raheem Jarrett? What he gonna take Trey Palmer snaps? What he gonna take J Mac snaps? You serious? 31-year-old receiver? Often injured last couple of years? No. No way, no how. And it's not an expensive deal. It was cheap. You know, it's a cheap signing. That's it. That's those of you that don't know. Devin Tompkins was cut. Then it came out that he had some domestic abuse situation going on, and then he had someone injured, and all this stuff going on with Devin Tompkins. So they picked up Russell Shepard, who doesn't really fit the future of the Bucs. So this is interesting that he is clearly not a part of the future. I guess Baker made a phone call to Jason Light. Was like, yo, can I get my guy some burn? Because this is more of a showcase for Sterling Shepard for other teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Sterling Shepard don't make the roster, which I don't think he will, and he could play that Dave Moore role, but that's taken away from Trey Palmer, and it's taken away from J Mac, and it's taken away from Raheem Jarrett. So I don't expect him to make the roster, to be honest. Let's keep it 100 over here in the BucosLocker. I'm not expecting him to make the roster. We got 3 young guys that are clearly got more upside. Why would you keep Sterling Shepard over and give him snaps over the young guys at this stage of his career? If he was highly productive still, with that. but he is far from productive. He's more injured than productive. So I don't want to hear it. Don't come over here with the Sterling Shepard nonsense. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Don't come over here with the Sterling Shepard nonsense. Y'all know how I am about foreigners. You know, when it comes to players from other teams. If he not top tier, I don't want to really hear it. You're not going to sell me some average receiver after 30 years old. You're not going to sell BucosLocker with that. In other news, the Bucs also signed Cody Thompson. Played with the Seahawks. So you could do that. You could do with that what you will. But Cody Thompson, you can do with that what you will. And also another news, Ryan Jensen has been officially placed on reserve retired list. I don't even know why we kept him for the last couple of years. He was not going to play, and they kept him on the roster hoping that he can probably get through. But everybody saw the injury. It was never going to happen. He was never going to play for the Bucs again. And that sucks. You know, it is what it is. But it sucks that his career ended the way it did. Thanks, Aaron Stinney and Logan Hall. Two guys that are not a part of the Bucs' future, really, to be honest with you, Logan Hall and Aaron Stinney. Right. Y'all know the story behind that nonsense. Blocking so hard and roll up on Ryan Jensen. You know, and just basically ended his career. So, yeah, shout out to Ryan Jensen. Was not a true Buck, but he put in some work. Super Bowl champion, the big red machine, you know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to Ryan Jensen, man. Even though he's a Baltimore Raven, that's the team that drafted him, and he played with them for a few years. Ryan Jensen put in the work in a Bucs uniform. And you got to give him his props where it's due. So, shout out to Ryan Jensen, man. Get well, have a healthy recovery, spend time with your family, enjoy your family, man. You deserve it. You earned it, you know, and wish you the best in your future endeavors outside of football. Stay healthy and get that knee right, man, and play with your kids. What else? Of course, we already know about the Winfield Jr. signing. J. Mack signed his contract. Agent Smith, Tyke Smith signed his contract. What else we got? So there's been some interesting interesting rankings come out about players and teams and schedule, roster, strength of schedule, and all that stuff like that. After the draft, after free agency, I still got the Bucs number one in the division until otherwise. Not by a long shot, not by a wide gap, because of because of what has transpired. Like, so I still got the Bucs number one in the division, and there's a battle for number two between the Falcons and Saints, and of course, carrying the caboose is the Panthers. Atlanta will probably challenge us more than Saints. Now, the Saints always give us problems. They've been giving us problems for the last several years, right? Right. But there's not a big gap between the Bucs, the Saints, and the Falcons. Right? You get what I'm saying? The Bucs still are picked to win the division because of what we have done the last couple of years. Granted, it has not been a cupcake walk in a bad division because, let's be honest, this division doesn't have an elite team. You know, this division, the NFC South does not have one elite team. Now, we have some elite players in the division, but there's no elite teams at all. There was a team ranking, and they had the Falcons at 15 and had the Bucs at 18. And I understood why they put the Falcons at 15 because that was the quarterback factor, because that's factored in Kirk Cousins. They're saying Kirk Cousins is better than Baker Mayfield, which I understand. Kirk Cousins has been way more productive. Not even close. So I understand why they will put the Falcons at 15 and the Bucs at 18, which I'm not surprised because I always said this. I thought the Bucs, currently constructed, they are a middle of the pack team. They're not terrible, and they're not really, really good because of the holes on the roster. And then they came out. Remember when we were screaming, or some of you were screaming, the Bucs got a top 5 roster, all because of Tom Brady, Gronkowski, Fournette, AB. For whatever reason, I don't even know why the media did this, but that was the reason why the Bucs had a top 5 roster. It wasn't because of the roster itself. It was because of the additions. And it's funny how things change in a matter of years, because when Brady left, you haven't heard anything about the Bucs being a top 5 roster. Why is that? Because if the Bucs was a top 5 roster in 2020 and 2021, what's the big difference between those years and now? Because if the Bucs drafted well, the Bucs, according to before Brady left, the Bucs drafted well, according to the narrative, right? The Bucs had a top 5 roster, so that means Brady and the people that's on the roster and the draft picks. And then when Brady leaves, there's nothing else about the Bucs being a top five roster. Not top 10, not even top 15. Why is that? Why all of a sudden this roster falls out of the top 5, top 10, top 15? With a top 5 GM, according to some Bucs fans. Top 5 GM with a roster that's not even top 15. I'm just trying to understand how narratives can quickly change. Narratives can quickly change in the offseason because of some players retiring, players leaving. Because I haven't really seen a big drop-off like that. You go from a top 5 roster to not even in the top 15? Can anybody explain that part? How do you go from a top 5 roster in 2020 and 2021, and then 2022, 2023, 2024, you're not even ranked in the top 15? But we got a top 5 GM, according to some Bucs fans. Can anybody explain that part? Because I'm confused. I'm confused. We got Antoine Winfield Jr., we got Tristan Wirfs, we got Levante David, we got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and we're not even in the top 15? When I saw the ranking, I was like, what? I saw the team rankings. Then I saw the roster rankings. I was like, damn, they do the Bucs like that? Like, no respect to the Bucs. They're going to drop us completely out of the top 15 team rankings and roster rankings? With a top 5 GM, according to some Bucs fans. Something's not adding up right. So I'm going to say this. Under the radar, the Bucs are flying under the radar. Of course, once again, another offseason with no respect. If you're a Bucs fan and you are not used to the disrespect, then I don't know where you've been living at. For reasons unknown, and some of us do know reasons, but NFL media don't too much really care for Tampa outside of Tom Brady. Outside of the Tom Brady phase, they didn't really talk about us. They talked about us because of Winston, his interceptions. He put up a lot of yards, a lot of points, his personality, right? But outside of Winston and Tom Brady, and now Baker Mayfield, they don't really talk about us. They talked about Baker Mayfield before he got to the Bucs. So the Baker Mayfield was already made before he got to the Bucs. His name was already made in the media. So the Bucs didn't enhance his name power, his power of his name. That's just like the Tom Brady syndrome. Tom Brady already had a name. He already had accolades already established. He was already established as one of the best players of all time. He just came to Tampa because, other teams didn't want him. And then with Baker Mayfield was hyped up in Oklahoma. He went to Cleveland, won a playoff game. So he already had a name. Then he comes to Tampa. So outside of a couple of players, nobody give a damn about Tampa. Nobody cares. So when I see these rankings, when it comes to player rankings, cornerback, even to the fact that, and you can't even get mad, they had a cornerback ranking. Jamel Dean wasn't even nowhere near to be found. But they had a safety ranking. Winfield Jr. was number 1. They had a quarterback rankings. Baker Mayfield was nowhere to be found in the top 15. Now, the receiver rankings, they had Mike Evans at 12. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was 11 or 12. I was like, wow. Chris Godwin was like, I think 20, 21. And then they had the rankings for the tackles. Tristan Wirfs, of course, at near the top. And then they also had rankings for the guards. And let me tell you this, folks. The Bucs still got interior problems. I know we signed Graham Barton. I know we got Cody Mulch. And Robert Haynes is going to probably be the other guard. But the Bucs didn't have not one guard in the top 30. Not one guard in the top 30. Did y'all know Shaq Mason was like 17? And he played for us. And they got him ranked. Shaq Mason was like 17 because I think he played for the Texans. We had not one guard, nobody in the interior, center or guard, ranked in the top 30 at the positions. But wait a minute. I thought we had a top 5 roster. I thought we had a great roster. I thought we had a great GM. So where's the respect? What up, Big Buck? Where's the level of respect when it comes to the Bucs? 3-time division champion. Granted, it wasn't pretty. The last 2 years wasn't pretty. Of course, y'all know me. The Bucs record the last 2 years, 17-17. That's not good at all. That's average at best. That is literally average. But where's the respect? But you know what, though? As a Bucs fan, you got to come to a point where we're going to be under the radar every year. Until the Bucs win a lot of games, this is what we're going to continue to get. And when we was winning with Brady, when Brady was leading the charge, and we was winning with Brady, won the Super Bowl, and then went 13-4 the next year, we got respect. And then the next 2 years, 8, 9, 9, and 8, no respect. So with that being said, Bucs fans, you got to realize the product that the Bucs are putting out right now, before this season starts, the product that the Bucs have right now, and what we can go off of as a consumer, as a football fan, the Bucs are average. Exactly, Creole King. Average teams get no respect. No respect. 24-9. The first 2 seasons Brady was here, the first 2 seasons, 24-9 in the regular season with Tom Brady. Got plenty of respect. 2022, the Bucs go 8-9. No respect. And then the next season with Baker Mayfield, 9-8, scraped by. No respect. You can't be an average team and then get mad on why they're not talking about our roster. They're not talking about our GM like that. They're not talking about, they talk about Baker Mayfield, but come on, man. And it doesn't help that our division is weak as hell. Our division is weak as hell. People don't realize this. Our strength of schedule, every team in this division, strength of schedule is in the bottom 10. Let me repeat that. The division is so weak, they're literally trying to hand us a lot of wins. Our strength of schedule, we got the strongest strength of schedule in our division, but it's under 500. They trying to hand us 11 wins. Can somebody win 11 games in the NFC South? Let that sink in, folks. I think the Bucs strength of schedule is like 0.487 or 0.49, something like that. It's not, there's no team in the NFC South with a strength of schedule percentage over 500 and above. So that should tell you that division is weak as hell. So before, as a Bucs fan, I can't pound my chest and saying that we're the best in a weak division, which is true. We are the best in a weak division. There is no Super Bowl contenders in the NFC South. There is no major threat in the NFC South. Let's keep it real, folks. There's not one team in our division that is a major threat. Of course, we beat the Eagles, but guess what? They still gonna take the Eagles over the Bucs. Have you seen the team rankings? They got us at 18. 18, folks, out of 32 teams. 16 is in the middle of the pack. That's literally halfway. They got us below halfway point. They got us below average. That's insane. 3 straight division champions, and we're not even in the top 15 as far as teams. It's just crazy. If they was to do a coaching ranking, where do you think Todd Bowles will rank? There's so many rankings that I've seen that did not feature, outside of Mike Evans, Tristan Wirfs, and Winfield Jr. and Levante David. Outside of those guys right there, I don't really see any other Bucs players showing up at all. Robert Jr. in 2005, I see, man. Outside of Tristan Wirfs, Antoine Winfield Jr., Mike Evans, Levante David. Outside of those guys right there, I don't see no other Buck player being considered ranked at their position at all in the top 15, top 20. At all. Let that sink in, folks. I know Luke Gadecki showed up like 25 and 20 something like, but nobody talks about him. Under the radar. This season, under the radar. Underdogs, under the radar, because Todd Bowles will never get the respect until he actually wins big. And history shows he's had one season that, like, he had the 10-6 season, and of course this past season he had 9-8. So, and then 2 years with him as a head coach, 17-17. So that's 34 game. That's a 34 game sample of to let you know what type of coach he is. I'm just saying, outside of a couple players on our team, nobody give a damn in the rankings. When you get into these NFL conversations, you think anybody talking about the Bucs cornerbacks? You think anybody talking about the Bucs guards, center, right tackle, about the Bucs having a strong run game? Is anybody talking about the Bucs run game? Nope. Anybody talking about Todd Bowles? Nope. Baker Mayfield will pop up in conversations, but when he pops up in conversations, it's more about redemption. It's about underdog and all this. So he's still not getting the respect. So please, as Bucs fans, we got to understand the product that is being presented to us as fans is average at best. Until otherwise. And my little favorite piece going into the season, the Bucs are average until proven otherwise. Can the Bucs be above average? Yes, they can. They got to show it on the field. But the results that we've gotten, what have you done for me lately? Average at best. This is one of the reasons why the Bucs don't get respect as a roster. This is one of the reasons why the Bucs GM Jason Licht don't get the respect and his name mentioned at the cream of the crop. And there's a multitude of variables. Jason Light mentioned on draft picks, Devin White, OJ Howard, Kyle Trask, Jameis Winston. Bad signings, Russell Gage, Julio Fulio, Kyle Rudolph, stuff like that. The Antonio Brown situation wasn't handled well, but BA. The Jameis Winston situation was kind of a debacle. Wasn't handled well from an organizational standpoint. Terrible run game, terrible tackles, terrible defense. Mike Smith, Dork Cutter. All these things factor up into where the Bucs are in today. And then you look at the Bucs schedule, and then you look at the Bucs schedule, they got us 7.5 on the over under as far as wins. They got us over 7.5, which is basically 8. So they're looking at us, they're looking at the Bucs, and they're looking at the schedule, and they say about 8 wins, 7.5, which rounds up to 8. Squeeze in, maybe you might get a 9. It's the same, it's the same thing. Remember last year we had a rough patch? But what's funny about last year's rough patch when the Bucs went 1-6, this year's rough patch is a lot harder. Let me say this again. The Bucs rough patch this year is much harder than last year. Several straight weeks of teams, Falcons a couple times, have you seen that patch? I would be ecstatic if we go 500. If we go, and though I think it's a 7-game, we can't go 1-6 again. And then expect to win. Remember, end of the year last year, the Bucs won 5 in a row. Can we expect that to happen again this year? You can't do that. And here's the thing about it. This happened last year. The Bucs won a couple games at the beginning of the season. They beat the Bears. They beat the Vikings. People jumping around, pumping their chest. Yeah, we really like that. Beat the Saints 3-1. We really like that. And I told everybody, I said, I told everybody to calm down. Wait till about week 8, week 9, week 10. And then we went to that rough patch. 7 straight weeks. 1-6 out of them 7 games. And luckily, we had the Panthers twice. Right? We had Green Bay. We had Panthers twice. Green Bay. Lost to the Saints. Jacksonville Jaguars. So luckily, we caught some teams with some injuries going downhill. And thank God we had the Panthers twice in a couple weeks. Yeah, Titans. Yeah. So we had the schedule wasn't great as far as strength-wise. We didn't have any hard games, like major hard games. Right? The hardest game that we had was the Saints game, and we lost that. We lost that game, folks. The Saints beat us. And if they would have beat, they lost to the Packers. They was up like 17-0. If the Saints would have one or two games, they actually blew. They blew the games. It was the Packers game, and it was another game that they blew. They shouldn't have lost those games. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But if they would have won one of those games, the Saints would have been 10-7, and we would have been outside looking in. So, thank you, Dennis Allen, for screwing up those games. But the back end of that season last year, it wasn't super hard, folks. Titans, Packers, Jaguars, Panthers twice. I mean, come on, man. I mean, that ain't no, oh my gosh. Now, I will say this now. Playing the Packers this year will be a lot harder. Like, that game won't be easy this year. Right? So, I'm just saying, you can't depend on the Bucs winning, what Big Buck said, 6 out of 7 games at the end of the season. That's rare. Okay. But let me go ahead and say this now. I believe just on paper, we're gonna have a rough patch. And I think y'all know where that patch's gonna be at. We're gonna have a rough patch, folks. And it's coming. And there's no stopping it because that's just the Bucs' nature. We're gonna lose a game or two that we're not supposed to lose. We're gonna get destroyed in a couple games that we got no shot in. That we think like we're gonna hype ourselves up. Well, not me. Thinking that we got the better team than we really don't. And then we're gonna have some games where we got the better team, but we're gonna lose one or two. It's the same story being wrote again, man. And when we look up, there's a high probability that the Bucs will win 8-9 games. And if they get 10 wins, that means one of those games that they were supposed to lose, they win against one of the bigger, better rosters. If we can get one of those games, if we can win one of those games where the team that the Bucs are playing are much better roster-wise, GM-wise, quarterback-wise, if we can get one of those games, that's the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Eagles, or the 49ers, if we can get one of those games, if we can win one of those games, we got a chance to win 10 games. But if we lose all 4 of those games, there's a high probability, because I believe, in my opinion, we're going to split. We're going to split with the Falcons, and we're going to split with the Saints, and we're going to sweep the Panthers. Just like we did last year. We split with the Falcons last year with Desmond Ridder. Now they got a better quarterback. So I think we're going to split again with the Falcons. And then, of course, the Saints, we're going to split again with the Saints. Right? And then we're going to sweep the Panthers. So that's 4 wins right there. That's 4 wins, 4-2 right there. And then now you look at the other 11 games, we got to at least finish 6-5. So think about that. That's 4-2 in the division. Sweep the Panthers, split the Falcons and Saints. That's 4-2 in the division. The 11 games outside of the division, the Bucs must go 6-5. That's it. Just go 6-5. Beat one of those teams. Beat the Ravens or the Chiefs or the 49ers or the Eagles. Just beat one of those. And you're going to go 10-7. But that's not the ceiling, though. That's the Marvel's what if. That's the whoa. It maybe. But the probability based on how the Bucs roster set up, the coaching, the roster, the quarterback, the run game, based on how everything's setting up going into the season, more than likely there's a high probability based on Todd Bowles that the Bucs win 8-9 games again. I'm not saying that's to me, that's their ceiling. The floor is 7-10. The ceiling is 9-8. Again, in my opinion, humbly, respectfully. Respectfully, the Bucs floor is 7-10, and the ceiling is 9-8. Again, for the second year in a row. Because they're running it back, and there's no significant difference between last year team and this year team. And we played without Devin White. We played without Carlton Davis. We know for the most, a lot of the season. So, and then they added a rookie class. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just saying, the floor is 7-10. The ceiling, in my opinion, going into the season is 9-8. Now, as far as my schedule prediction, that's my early one right there. My early output as far as record. My early output as far as record. The high peak for the Bucs is 9-8. The low end is 7-10. Same thing I did last year. Last year I chose 7-10. This year I'm going to choose 8.5. Now I'm going to choose the 8.5 over under. Okay, I'm going to go with 8.5 over under. Right, so that's my early prediction. Now I'm going to do my final prediction before the season starts. So y'all can really see, okay, BucosLocker going with this record right here. I'm going to break down the wins and losses, and I'm going to tell you why the Bucs are going to lose that game. But I will say this, and who made the point? Big Buck, Marvin for Christ, 30. If Todd Bowles go 9-8 again, what do the Bucs do? If the Todd Bowles go 9-8, which is a winning season, they win the division, go 9-8 again. That's one game over 500 in 3 years. Or what should the Bucs do if the Bucs go 9-8? Win the division, you go 9-8 again, which that brings the record to 26-25 in 3 seasons. What happens if Todd Bowles go 8-9, which means the record will be 25-26 in 3 years? 3 years in a row, we're one game over 500 or one game below 500. What does that tell you? How many more games you need to see with Todd Bowles as the head coach? The Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield combination has limitations. Y'all know this. Y'all know this, man. The reason why the Bucs are better than the Jets, Todd Bowles, the Todd Bowles version of the Todd Bowles version when he's with the Jets versus the Todd Bowles with the Bucs. The difference is between when Todd Bowles was the head coach of the New York Jets, that was a dysfunctional organization. The Todd Bowles with the Bucs, he's not in a dysfunctional organization with a lot of pressure. He's under the radar. He's with an organization that don't get respect, under the radar, mediocre at best. So there's no pressure on Todd Bowles. Remember, Todd Bowles went 10-6, 5-11, 5-11, fired. With the Bucs, 8-9, 9-8, and then year 3, question marks, unknown. This is a pivotal year for Todd Bowles in the Baker Mayfield combination. Once again, as I wrap this up, the Todd Bowles Baker Mayfield combination has limitations and it has a ceiling. That combination right there is not Super Bowl. Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield together, it does not scream Super Bowl. It does not scream NFC champions. Y'all know this. So, what are your expectations for this season? Now, I'm not trying to be, negative Negan or pessimistic Pat, but what are your expectations for the Bucs? Is it Super Bowl or bust? Is it NFC champions? Is it NFC South champions? Like, what is your outcome for the Bucs? You think they're gonna win 10, 11 games? I mean, like, what's the end goal here? Because if the end goal is Super Bowl, well, you can X that out. And I'm just being real with y'all. Too many holes. Todd Bowles, Baker Mayfield, too many holes. New OC, that screams Super Bowl. That screams Super Bowl. Like, when you look at the Bucs roster, you look at the Bucs coach, and you look at the coach quarterback combination, and you look at this roster. Does that scream Super Bowl? Mike Tannenbaum was the GM, I believe. But when you look at the Bucs roster, the coach quarterback combination, does that scream Super Bowl? Be real. Be real. Does that scream Super Bowl? Does that scream NFC South champions? Does that scream NFC champions? Does that scream 11, 12 wins with Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield together? I'm just keeping it real with you. I just want y'all to see the realness of it. Can we win some big games in the regular season? I know the teams that we're going to beat on the schedule. I know that. But can we beat the Lions, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the 49ers? Can we beat those teams? Like look. Oh well, the Bucs can beat the Saints. Well, no diggity, no doubt. Of course, the Bucs can beat the Saints. Duh. But can the Bucs beat the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the 49ers, and Lions? That's my question. I'm focused on those games. I'm not worried about all the regular games and the below average games. I know the Bucs gonna beat the Panthers. I know the Bucs gonna beat the Saints. I know the Bucs gonna beat the Falcons at least one time and the Saints one time. I know that. I'm talking about the cream of the crop. Chiefs, Ravens, Cowboys, Eagles, Lions, 49ers. Can we beat those teams with this current roster, with this current head coach, and that quarterback? Because if you look at the Chiefs, Ravens, Cowboys, Lions, Eagles, Lions, and 49ers, you look at their roster, you look at their head coach, and you look at their GM. Do we even come close? Do we even come close to those teams when it comes to head coach, quarterback, roster combination? No. Y'all know that. I mean, I'm just being honest with y'all. We don't come close when you add up the roster, the head coach, and the quarterback. You put all three together, we don't match up well with those teams. Y'all know this. We seen it. Cowboys skunked us at home. The Ravens played with us. The Chiefs beat us. 49ers beat us. Lions beat us. Eagles beat us. Now we beat the Eagles in the playoffs, but you get what I'm saying? Now I will say this though. If we had Doug Peterson, if we had a better coach, I would like, okay, we can get with him. But I just not a fan of Todd Bowles and his coaching style. It has a limitation. Baker Mayfield can be better with a better coach. That's in my opinion. I think Baker Mayfield can be a lot better with a better coach. Not with Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is going to keep Baker Mayfield in the average at best category. If we had a Shane Steichen, hell yeah, I'd be like, Baker Mayfield going to have some numbers. A Doug Peterson, a Shane Steichen, of course. A Jim Harbaugh, of course. A John Harbaugh, of course. Shit, you give me Mike Tomlin, of course. A Matt LaFleur, Kevin Stefanski, a Kyle Shanahan, of course. Of course, I would go. Bucs would be a lot better with those coaches. Y'all know this. They can be a whole lot better with those coaches. Y'all know this. And Sean McVay, of course. And Kevin O'Connell, of course. The Bucs will be a threat for real. I just don't look at the Bucs as a major threat with Todd Bowles. Exactly. Too conservative. No cojones. He played close to the vest. And Baker Mayfield, that's not his game. He's not. Did y'all know this? I did. Did y'all know? Baker Mayfield had a good season last year. But did y'all know? Did y'all know Sam Howell ranked number 1 in the NFL in turnover-worthy plays? Let me repeat. Sam Howell ranked number 1 in the NFL in turnover-worthy plays. I'm going to put this into perspective for you guys. Guess who's number 2? Guess who's number 2? Guess who was the second-ranked quarterback in the NFL in turnover-worthy plays? Take a guess, folks, as I wrap this up. Take a guess on the quarterback that was ranked number 2 in the NFL in turnover-worthy plays. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, we got away with it. We got away. Did y'all know the number 2 quarterback in the NFL in turnover-worthy plays in a 17-game season? Sam Howell was number 1. Guess where Baker Mayfield ranked? turnover-worthy plays at quarterback. Guess where Baker Mayfield ranked? Take a guess, folks. I'll give you some time. Ding, 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 ding. I kind of gave it away, but Pat Williams, congratulations. Baker Mayfield ranked number 2 in the NFL in turnover-worthy plays. We got away with one, folks. Last year, oh my gosh. And if you go back and look at that tape, and I was calling this out too during the season. Baker Mayfield had 10 interceptions? That man should have had about 17, 18 of them. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I'm just giving you the perspective of it. He ranked number 2 in the NFL in turnover-worthy plays. That's Baker Mayfield, folks. When he don't turn the ball over, he's average at best. Middle of the pack, you know what I'm saying? But when he turns the ball over, he's terrible. That should tell you right there, Baker Mayfield in a nutshell. In a nutshell, that's Baker Mayfield. He only had 10 interceptions, 26, 29, whatever, 10 interceptions or something like that, and a little over 4,000 yards in a 17-game season. QBR, middle of the pack, quarterback rating, okay. But he was number 2 in the NFL in turnover-worthy plays. Bucs, though, I'm telling you. And that was in the first year in Dave Canales' offense. Now we got a new OC that he got to learn a new offense. I hope Baker Mayfield can make the jump. I hope he can put up better numbers than last year. And those numbers last year was pretty good. But the reality of the situation, Baker Mayfield is Baker Mayfield. He's still reckless with the ball. He got away with it last year. He was reckless with that ball, folks. Number 2 in the NFL quarterback turnover-worthy plays. Sam Howell was number 1. And what's so interesting about the comparison between the two, they're the same size. They're the same type of player. 6 foot, 6'1", bulky, rah-rah guy, moxie. Baker Mayfield's not terrible. When he plays well, he's not terrible. But last year, the stats say he put up career best after 7, 8 years. That's middle of the pack. So with that being said, the Bucs have an opportunity to play better. It's just that under the circumstances with the new OC, learning a new offense, Todd Bowles defense, which we know what that is, what do we get when you mix those two together? It's going to be a struggle at the beginning of the season with the offense again. And then the Bucs going to come clicking again late in the season. It's the same thing is going to happen again, in my opinion. They're going to struggle at the beginning of the season with the offense. Then they're going to go through a rough patch. They're going to lose some games. Then we're going to be here talking about it. And then they're going to pick up at the end of the season. The same thing. Watch. That's in my opinion. But at the end of the day, man, as a Bucs fan, you got reality and then you got football conversation. It's great to be a Bucs fan. I've been a fan since the beginning. But one thing about me on BucosLocker, I try to keep it as realistic as possible. I try not to overdo it with super expectations. And the Bucs, Baker Mayfield's going to throw for 4,700 yards. He's going to have 35 touchdowns. He's going to have 8 interceptions. He's going to have top 5 QBR, top 5 quarterback rating, passer rating. Bucs defense is going to be top 10 and everything. The Bucs running, I don't never talk like that. I try to keep it as close as possible to reality. That's the best way to talk about football. I mean, yeah, we could do the Marvel's what if and the high expectations and that's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, you got to be realistic. Every season is different. But when you lay the pieces on the table, and you match them up, pieces meaning teams, when you match the Bucs schedule up with the Bucs, they're going to lose some games. They're going to lose some games, folks, and don't get mad. They're going to lose 1 or 2 games that they're not supposed to lose, and they're going to lose the games they expected to lose. But I see the season playing out. They're going to struggle at the beginning. They're going to pick up a couple wins, and then they're going to go through this really rough patch, like for 7 weeks straight. It's going to be rough as hell. 2-5, something like that. 3-6, something like that. 2-7. 2-5, 1 something like that. And then at the end of the season, the Bucs going to patch together a couple wins, and then we're going to look up. The Bucs going to be like 7-7. It's going to be the same thing again, folks. Watch. And the funny thing about it, the Cowboys, that game is at the end of the season. Not the last game, but it's towards the end, the back half of the season. So it's not like we're going to run the table. Nobody runs the table. But as long as you understand the expectations, as long as you got expectations of the Bucs, look, I got us winning the division. I got us winning the division again. And it's going to be close because of the Falcons in that quarterback situation. Because as much as I'm not a fan of Kirk Cousins, I'm going to say this again. Kirk Cousins is a major upgrade over Desmond Ridder. Y'all don't know how bad Desmond Ridder is. He's terrible. And they beat us with Desmond Ridder. Insert Kirk Cousins, who's much better than Desmond Ridder. So the Falcons game is going to be hard, folks. Both of those games are going to be hard. Y'all know this. But I got the Bucs winning the division. But it's going to be close. I wouldn't be surprised all 3 teams end up 8-9, 9-8. I would not be surprised. Or at least 2 of them. So, with that being said, subscribe to the channel. Like the channel. Share all the videos. Don't forget to hit the notification bell icon to notify you on all new videos that's posted on this channel. With that being said, fire those cannons. Seize the day. Raise the flag. Hashtag under the radar, man. That's what we doing. Under the radar. Stay under the radar. Be cool, Bucs fans. I'll see y'all again. I will talk to y'all again at some point. I don't know when, but we'll have another conversation. Hopefully it won't be so far apart. So, BucosLocker, signing out. Back to my real life. Peace.